Do you ever feel like the harder you study, the faster you forget? It's not you, it's your brain. Our brains are wired to forget, but here's a powerful way to fight back. It's called spaced repetition, and today I will not only explain to you how you can use it, but also how you can make it part of a well-rounded study strategy. My name is Tom Vorselen, also known as The Study Coach, and it's my personal mission to help you succeed in both your studies and career. Disclaimer, I'm not claiming to be a learning guru or god. As a study coach, I help students with learning methods, time management, and mindset to improve their mental and physical health and achieve more in their studies. Today, we will talk about a learning method that has helped me to improve my grades significantly, but it also works for other students. Let's start with why forgetting happens. Have you ever had your teacher or your parents say you have to start early and repeat often, but they never told you why? Let me tell you why. In 1885, Hermann Ebbinghaus discovered the forgetting curve. And this curve shows how fast we forget information. Here's the breakdown. After 1 hour, we forget about 30% of information, leaving us with 70% knowledge retention. After 1 day, we forget about 60% of information. And after 1 week, we already forget 80% of information, leaving us with only 20%. This explains why cramming feels like a short-term win, but as soon as you're in the exam, you still forgot a lot of information. So what do most students do? They go to class and don't repeat until 1 week before the exam. They try to cover 4 to 8 weeks of material in this 1 week, barely making it up to the passing mark of 55 or 60%. And this is where it gets stressful for most of these students. Next to not taking into account the forgetting curve, a lot of students fall into these two traps. The first trap is called the trap of recognition. Your brain is so incredible that it can recognize that you created notes or that you've seen the notes before. So rereading your notes or rereading the lecture slides, it feels productive, but is not going to give you the desired outcome. With that taken into account, doing that in the last week before your exams, you're not going to get the results that you want. The second trap is stress overload. Our brains crave structure and overview. So without a plan, last-minute reviews pile up, leading to feeling overwhelmed and stressed. To summarize, studying without a structure leads you to work harder and not smarter. This is where spaced repetition changes the game. It is like rewiring your brain to hold on to information over a longer period of time. The method is actually really simple. Reviewing material at increasing intervals. For example, repeat on the same day. Reinforce what you just learned. Look at your notes from class and ask yourself questions. What did I learn today? How does this connect to something that we learned last week? Or how can I use this in my assignments or in my homework exercises? Repetition on the same day. Look at what you've learned on this day. Ask yourself questions. What did we cover today? What did I learn today? How does what I learned today connect to what I've learned last week? And how can I use this in future exercises or assignments? The next day, build on these initial connections. Continue asking yourself questions, potentially making some homework or doing some retrieval practice questions here. 1 week later, or at the end of the week, try to solidify the knowledge. Look at the broader picture and see how everything that you've learned is connected to each other. And 4 weeks later, repeat again to make sure that it sticks into the long term. As you can see on the visual, the line that shows how fast you forget information is getting less steep and helping you to retain the information better. I'm not claiming that this is the holy grail. It's a guideline that you can start implementing as of today. The most important thing here is that you have a plan, which can make you feel less stressed and less overwhelmed. Once you get used to applying spaced repetition, you can also focus on improving your learning methods at these intervals, such that studying at these intervals is becoming more productive and more efficient. This technique works because it's helping you to repeat at the moments you tend to forget, forcing your brain to actively recall and strengthen its pathways. Now let's compare two scenarios here. Student 1 is cramming. A student waits until last minute and starts studying. Stress levels are high and only short-term memory is activated. On exam day, they struggle to recall the information because they haven't reviewed it in weeks. The second student is applying spaced repetition. This student follows a scientifically proven plan. By reviewing material at spaced intervals, they retain about 80 to 90% of what they learned. They go into the exams with way more confidence. Do you see the difference? One is being reactive, waiting till the last moment, procrastinating, and the other one is proactive, creating a plan and executing on it. When my mentor introduced this concept to me, it was an absolute game changer. I would revise the same day when I learned something new. I would revise 1 day later, 1 week later, and 4 weeks later. When I started using this approach, my grades jumped from failing to passing, from low B's to higher B's to low A's to A+. And this is because I started to understand and apply the concept of spaced repetition. But on the side, I also started to improve my learning methods at those intervals. But more on that in later videos. What made the biggest difference from me wasn't necessarily the grades. It was understanding the material on a deeper level and making learning fun and enjoyable again. Spaced repetition is powerful, but it's not the whole story. To master a subject, combine it with these strategies. Number 1 is active recalling. You don't reread your notes, but you quiz yourself on the things that you've learned. Number 2 is elaborating on the knowledge. Connect new knowledge to things that you already know. The third one is critical thinking. Start to figure out why does something work and not how it works. These additional methods will help you to go beyond simple memorization, and they will truly help you own the material. Here is how you can get started today. Pick one topic and spread it out on the intervals that I shared with you earlier. Same day, 1 day later, 1 week later, 4 weeks later. Second, implement active recalling methods in those intervals. And third, track your progress as you go and adjust accordingly to your amount of work and your courses. The key is to take one step at a time. Learning is a journey, and with the right tools, you can master it. So remember, spaced repetition isn't about passing exams. It's about changing the way you learn. And if you're ready to take control over your academic journey, make sure to hit like, subscribe, and follow me on Instagram, such that we can continue working together. Oh, and by the way, if you want to learn about the 5 habits that every successful student has, make sure to check this video.